The following is a Journey into Comics Network production. What's up, guys? Brando here, one of the EVPs of the Journey into Comics Network, podmaster, host extraordinaire of the Journey into Comics podcast, Journey to Wrestling, and the Game Addicts podcast, and you are listening to the best of the week. And what this show is, it's like a little bit of an appetizer of all the shows we have to offer here on the network. You get a best of clip of every single show that airs throughout the week. So if it's your first time or you just want to relive some of your favorite segments, this is the place to be on this nice, lazy Sunday afternoon. So kick your feet up, relax. Unless you're driving, be safe. You don't want to kick your feet up if you're driving. And enjoy the best of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Journey into Comics. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Journey into Comics. It's episode 184. I'm your host, Nate. Today joining me, as always, the Lars Ulrich to my James Hetfield, or the James Hetfield to my Lars Ulrich, depending on who you ask. Welcome back to the show, Brando. How's it going?
I was going to do a Lars impression, and then you said James, and I'm like, how does Lars do James? I've never heard him. Can you imagine Lars doing a James Hetfield impersonation?
Do some rock albums, just do some rock and roll music. We're gonna come in here and record some rock and roll.
I like that one more.
Ooh yeah.
Ooh yeah.
Ooh yeah.
Ooh yeah.
Ooh yeah. Oh man. So what's up, Brandon? How's it going, dude? Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for welcoming me to the show that I also co-host. And, it's going pretty good here as I almost dropped my brand new phone. It's a little late in my neck of the woods, but that's just fine. I'm here for the ride. We got some stuff to talk about this week. It's going to be pretty fun. Of course, we're trucking right along here on the Journey into Comics podcast, and we are nearing that ever so 200.
Man, it's getting closer and closer. It's kind of freaking me out. We're only 16 weeks away here. And next thing you know, this show is going to be 200 episodes in. And, I don't think it really changes a whole lot. It just is really nice to see, like, hey, we can reminisce about some shit, which I'm sure people love hearing us reminisce and be nostalgic about all sorts of things. And I'm sure that in the future you'll hear all about that. Sorry, is that a spoiler or anything?
Did you like? Speaking of timey-wimey things, did you like that the new Doctor Who intro?
Oh yeah, that thing you sent me of the porta potty floating down the street.
Well, I had heard that the budget got cut a little bit, but I think it works. Did you watch it with sound?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, because you have to, because it plays the damn thing as it's like dun 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 dun. This porta potty, and it's a flood, and it's just floating right down the street as it's spinning.
I think it's funny how you mentioned that the budget got cut when they just upped Jodie Whittaker's pay to the exact same as Peter Capaldi, which is like unheard of, because she's a female actress, so of course she gets less money. Even in Europe, that's a real thing. Isn't that crazy?
Well, I guess it makes sense why the special effects maybe budget went down a little bit, because they got to save some money because they're going to pay her some more, which is awesome that they're paying her more. But it is still a business, and you got to pinch pennies where you can. And I guess the special effects are just going to have. You know what? They got a great doctor, I'm sure, and even if they got to do some claymation to move. Can you they do some stop motion animation for like the TARDIS, instead of floating through space, it's like jerking through space. Really, it's like a kindergartner did the animation.
Just loose claymation, like what was that game? God dang it! It was the clay fighting game that was on N64, 63 and a third.
Clay Fighters.
Clay Fighters, thank you, of course. I think I broke. I think. I think I broke Brando. Oh, shit.
What
Are
was
you
that
still
clay
alive?
fighting game? I can't remember the name of it. Clay Fighters.
Oh, this is hilarious. Oh, my God.
Dude. Oh.
Sorry, man. Didn't mean to break you live on air there like that. That wasn't my intent.
We're not even
for the-
5 minutes in. Oh, my God.
I love that you said that exactly at 5 minutes into the episode. That was like crazy good timing. Are you back? Are you okay? Are you alive? Are we
Yeah.
here? Are we doing?
The Clay Fighters. God damn it. Oh, my God, dude.
That one's gonna hold on to you for a long time.
Oh.
We have the episode title, I think. Clay Fighters. Or what was that clay fighting game called? Okay, back to it, folks. We're not dead yet. Oh shit. Where were we even at, Brando? I don't even know where to go from here.
We hadn't even
Just
started the show yet. We were still just like bullshitting and reminiscing and just having small talk before we actually got into any sort of actual things that we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, that's good. Is there anything else good in your world?
This week has been terrible.
Yeah.
This has been the
It's
week.
because
from
Mercury's
freaking
in retrograde or some shit, Brando. The sun is too close to the earth and it's burning some shit. There's some solar floppies or some weird shit. I don't
Solar
know. What it is.
floppies.
They're obviously solar flares, but they look kind of floppy. They're like those bands or whatever. But anyways, the solar flares. I don't know. The damn clay fighter things.
He done broke himself. This is why we don't podcast late at night, Nate. We can't do it.
The slap.
Dude, like when we did JIW on the redo episode, like we were like that, and then doing the second half of the Iced Earth episode, we were so slap happy for both of those.
JIC redo. You know, it's just like the next attempt. Anyways, we're gonna try to start the show now. I think we're gonna attempt
I think we'll get there. You know,
we're gonna get there. We're doing it slow. Brando, to go back to my childhood a little bit, did you see that recently? Jason David Frank came back as a new character in Power Rangers.
well, he's not a new character. He's
Well,
been in
kinda new.
He's been in the comics.
That's true.
They're doing this new film called Shattered Grid.
Ooh, not a film.
It's not a film?
Spoiler alert, that was a live action trailer for the comic that's coming out.
Oh. Well, he is playing Lord Drakon, or Dracone, or Draken. How do you say his name? Drakon?
Let's see. If I'm looking at this, I'm going to read it directly from the thing here.
It's
'cause
Drakkon.
I would say Lord Drakon.
And literally, he plays a version of the character. I want to say of the Tommy Oliver character. It's he's like a mix between the Green and White Ranger. They're like fused together. And he looks badass.
Yeah, and he is still Tommy Oliver because there's some stuff in that trailer that definitely pulls back to old moments in the show that make you just like, oh, this is awesome. But they, they released some behind the scenes photos, and it's so cool to see him in that costume. It's just like this beautiful amalgamation of the Green and White Ranger. And man, it would be so awesome to actually have him end up on TV, you know? like, that would be incredible. Then he will have pretty much done it all, Jason David Frank.
I really love how he's still so involved with the fandom and with the franchise, and how, like, over the years a lot of folks have kind of like distanced themselves from it, and then when it kind of came back around, to being popular again or whatever, they're like, oh yeah, we we were in that too. But he never did that. He was always like, yes, this, I really champion this.
From the suburbs of Chicago and Illinois, this is the Paul Report with your host, Andrew Poor.
For those of you who followed on an episode back about flat earthers, we talked about a guy who wanted to make a homemade rocket to see the curvature of the Earth for himself, and then it was delayed due to regulations and the state requirements and all that. I just saw an article literally just a minute before I started recording from the AV Club, actually talking about his rocket launch, which apparently happened. So, article is titled "Flat Earther Takes Off in Homemade Rocket." Flat Earther takes off in homemade rocket and somehow doesn't die. After announcing back in November that he was preparing to launch himself into space so he could finally prove that the Earth is flat, Mad Mike Hughes actually took a ride in his homemade rocket this weekend, and now everything we know about science has changed. He didn't prove the world is flat, of course, but he did defy all the rules of reality by surviving the journey. As reported by Vice, Hughes' steam-powered rocket featuring the world's Research Flat Earth on one side, the words Research Flat Earth on the side, was launched from a metal rail attached to the back of an RV, and it managed to get up to 1,875 feet at 350 miles per hour before its parachutes deployed and carried Hughes safely back to the planet, be it flat or spherical. That's pretty impressive for a man who rejects a lot of basic science facts, but as Vice points out, you need to be about 35,000 feet up before you can see the curvature of the Earth. That means he wasn't able to get conclusive evidence for either side of this debate, but he does have plans to get himself higher up in the air with a future launch. He could save himself some time by reading a book and discovering conclusive evidence that way, but then nobody would be writing news articles about his wacky rocket adventures. So, wow. Finally, a nice follow-up to an article from quite a while back. And I'm kind of surprised it didn't go horribly, horribly wrong. So I guess that's kind of lucky. Probably wouldn't want to talk about the story if he somehow had a injury or death resulting from his homemade rocket. But yeah, I guess good for him for achieving one of his goals, even if he didn't get quite high enough to prove himself wrong, which I guess is probably good for him. Because even if he didn't reach that height, he can be like, oh, didn't reach it. Still think the Earth is flat, moving on. And so I'll be moving on. And the next thing I want to talk about, which involves what I talked about last week, which was that Toys R Us is going to be no more. They've officially filed for bankruptcy. They're closing all their stores. It's just a matter of time. And then out of the blue came what I think the underdog was in the toy industry, a toy store that I had in my mall growing up, and that is KB Toys. Now, KB Toys is coming back. Strategic Marks, a company that buys and revitalizes defunct brands, owns the KB name and plans to open 1,000 pop-up KB Toy stores for Black Friday and the holiday shopping season. My assumption is that there's about $500 million worth of toys that have been produced for Toys R Us with no place to go, said Strategic Marks president Elia Kassoff in a phone interview with CNN Money. That's a big void that we're hoping to fill up. Toys R Us, which filed for bankruptcy last year, announced last week that it expects to close all of its 735 stores in the U.S. Those closures will put 31,000 people out of work and hurt toy manufacturers that depend on the national retailer for distribution. Kassoff said he'd be in contact with Hasbro and Mattel and up to 200 smaller toy suppliers who are looking for new brick-and-mortar retailers. He said he plans to take advantage of a glut of toy manufacturers that have inventory but no place to sell it. To get a quick retail footprint, Kassoff says he's working with companies that specialize in holiday and pop-up retail like Spencer Spirit Holdings, Go Retail Group, and Party City Holdco Inc. So if when they go into the mall and one of those empty stores pops up as a Party City or a Toyga, which shows like calendars and random little baubles. So it looks like we might see a KB Toys this holiday season. We're talking to companies that how to do it. They have a methodology. They're used to rolling out stuff real quickly, he said. After the holiday shopping season ends, Cassis will decide which of the pop-up stores will become permanent based on their performance and whether you can negotiate a lease. Strategic Marks bought the KB Toys brand from Bain Capital in 2016. Bain is the same company that bought Toys R Us and took it private in 2006, a process that left the toy company saddled with $5.3 billion in debt, from which it never recovered. So yeah, we'll see losing a Toys R Us but gaining KB Toys, at least temporarily, and maybe forever. Who knows? And that's really it for follow-up news. Oh, wait, no, I missed another thing. So I talked about in last episode about these bombings that were happening in the Texas area and how I didn't have a lot of information at the time. So, sorry, that was my dog. So the person who's the Austin bombing suspect has been captured due to blowing himself up in his car following a pursuit with police. In Round Rock, Texas, there was not much surveillance footage in or near the Austin area FedEx store showing a man in a disguise dropping off packages, but for investigators from federal, state, and local agencies who had been hunting a mysterious and prolific bomb maker is what they needed, their first big break. Up to that point, in a 2-week investigation, officials have never laid eyes on the man they believed was responsible for terrorizing the Texas Capitol since March 2nd. In the security footage, a red 2002 Ford Ranger could be seen, officials said. Because the authorities did not have a license plate number, they began combing through records, all of them for every vehicle with the same make and model in Texas. Investigators then began trying to match the records with a white male, possibly in his 20s. And there was another more unorthodox clue from the surveillance video, the suspect's hands. He was wearing pink construction gloves. Investigators determined the same type of gloves were available at Home Depot, and they began going through hours of surveillance video from Home Depot locations in and around Austin. They got a hit. A security video from one store appeared to show the same suspect. Officials now whittled down the number of potential license plates and began tailing a handful of people. One of them turned out to be Mark Condit, the man who the authorities now believe was the Austin serial bomber. In a matter of hours, Mr. Condit's bombing spree, as well as his life, would be over. As SWAT officers closed in, Mr. Condit, a 23-year-old man from the Austin suburbs with no criminal record, ignited one of his homemade devices from inside a different vehicle he was driving early Wednesday and killed himself before he could be apprehended. The dramatic and deadly trail of homemade explosions left 2 people dead and injured several others, and in a ditch on Interstate 35 in Round Rock, with the windows of the vehicle blown out and his motive as unknown as ever. In the hours after Mr. Condit's death, a portrait of the bomber, his bombs, and his techniques emerged, along with the story of how he was finally stopped. The lucky breaks, investigative ingenuity, and technology that helped catch one of the most elusive serial bombers in recent decades. By the end of the day, Wednesday, the police had another tool, a 25-minute confession, left on the suspect's phone in which he attempted to describe his odyssey. It is the outcry of a very challenged young man talking about challenges in his personal life that led him to this point, the Austin Police Chief Brian Manley said. Interviews with political leaders briefed on the inquiry, along with the briefings from investigators and a federal law enforcement source, shed light on an investigation that saw hundreds of federal agents descend on Austin, gathering and reconstructing bomb fragments, interviewing witnesses, and gathering video footage. We haven't seen an effort like this in many, many years, said Christopher H. Combs, special agent in charge of the FBI's office in San Antonio. Officials said Mr. Condit planted one bomb in the upscale Travis County neighborhood of Austin on Sunday and tied the bomb's tripwire to a "Caution Children at Play" sign, which he himself put next to the sidewalk and bought along with 4 others at a Home Depot. Investigators used his cell phone data to put him on the scene of the explosion in Austin, also got his Google search history. But officials said that the crucial first break came when Mr. Condit mailed the package at the FedEx store earlier this week. Representative Michael McCall, Republican of Texas, said that when Mr. Condit left the FedEx office, he got into a pickup that had been called in by others as a potential lead, and they got the license plate from there and were able to get a cell phone number. He said adding that from there, agents could track the cell phone directly as a location device. Mr. Condit's suicide left more questions than answers about who he was and how he became a bomb maker and why he did it, but Chief Manley seemed to assuage worries about more bombs when he said all 7 had been accounted for. Law enforcement officials had worried that Mr. Condit might have placed or sent additional bombs in the hours before he died, and officials said they were still willing to look into whether Mr. Condit had any accomplices. In the Austin suburb of Pflugerville, Pflugerville, where Mr. Condit grew up and lived, a steady fear persisted throughout the days, even after his death. Neighbors were forced to evacuate from the area surrounding the house Mr. Condit shared with 2 roommates. After investigators found explosive materials there, they were allowed to return late in the day. The Austin police said that they had questioned Mr. Condit's 2 roommates. One has been released. The other still being questioned as of Wednesday afternoon. Neither roommate was identified outside Mr. Connett's parents' home, and I'm not going to say that name of the city again. Detective David Fugit with the Austin Police said Mr. Connett's family was cooperating. He was allowing investigators to search the property, including several backyard sheds. We don't have any information to believe the family had any knowledge of these events. That city is a tranquil Austin suburb, nearly 20 miles northeast. It is a spacious town of 59,000 that has long made its unusual name with the silent first letter part of its charm. So I guess it's Pflugerville. As visitors notice when they pass such businesses as Fast Lube, spelled P-F-A-S-T. At times on Wednesday, Mr. Connett's hometown was transformed. Military-style SWAT vehicles sped down the wide avenues. Neighbors and friends say they were stunned that Mr. Connett was the serial bomber. And there's a lot more to this article I don't feel like going into, but the important thing is that the bombings are now over. The person responsible has been apprehended and is unfortunately deceased, so he's not able to really pay for his crimes.
Red meat, we crave sustenance.
Guys, we are not invading my aunt.
Lauren, what would you rate this movie?
I'd give it a 5, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Liked it that much, huh?
Yeah, I love this movie. I remember growing up, my friend Leah, she had a Hot Rod shirt that she wanted to give to, or maybe she did give it to her boyfriend because she didn't want it because she watched Hot Rod and she didn't like it, but her boyfriend Matt, he liked it a lot, so he took the t-shirt from her. And it was just, I don't know, I feel like they were giving them out in Chicago, and Matt and Leah accepted them without even having seen the movie, and then they came back and they watched it.
Oh, I see.
But I really like it.
It's hard
It's an
to
irreverent
think
comedy.
about any flaws with it.
It's an
really,
irreverent comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if
Chocolate
I
or
were
strawberry?
to judge this movie,
Chocolate.
if I were to judge this movie, like, when it first came out, maybe I would have liked it more than I did. But going back and watching it as an adult, having never seen it the whole way through,
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I'm going to give it, a 3.
Okay.
Because, yeah, it's funny. I can see how back then it would be funny, but I'm just, so tired of the, I'm not tired of it, I guess. I love Andy Samberg. I loved that movie, 7 Days in Hell, that he did.
Right.
But I guess I just feel like, it wasn't as funny as I wanted it to be.
There's still so many parts that I can't help but laugh out loud at whenever I watch it.
Yeah.
Like the part where he starts falling off the cliff. And he's punch dancing out his rage in a field.
Sometimes I just get mad at stupid comedy, you know?
I mean, I think you were right when you said maybe you would have liked it more around the time when it came out.
When
Because
The
it was
Lonely
also
Island was still popular.
That was around the time he was doing Hot Rod is basically one big long digital short.
Yep. Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And that was at the time where all his digital shorts were coming out, and it was the wave.
Right. That was the trend. That was the fad.
That probably makes a difference, I would imagine. I love the movie Grandma's Boy, but had I not watched it when it came out, if I watched it later, I probably would have thought it was stupid.
Right.
Now,
there's a time and a place for Hot Rod.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
It's not today for me.
I'd give it a 3.75 out of 5. I really thought it was a good, funny comedy. I like Andy Samberg's really off-the-wall style of writing and just bizarreness, just he's the whole, my favorite part at the end of the movie when he's on the bike and he's looking and everybody's waving at him and he's just and then he realizes he's off the bike and then everything snaps into reality. That's so funny because it's almost like Wile E. Coyote.
What did he say when he came out of didn't he say Hoobastank?
Hoobastank. What an awful name for a band, by the way.
That's exactly what you said too. You're Hoobastank.
I remember that band.
Was when he got knocked out, while he was in the pool? When he was holding his breath
Yeah,
under
when he was
the pool.
holding his breath underwater.
Yeah.
So what did he say? Soul of a bottlenose dolphin.
Yeah. And the whole thing about that scene is funny. There's so many things about that scene that's funny.
Didn't it?
But the funniest part is when Bill Hader is yelling at his sister
Oh, yeah.
about the Kool-Aid. He's just
just leave it.
He's okay.
Just bring it. Just bring it.
Just bring it.
I love Bill Hader.
Wait, is he kissing his sister? That's not his sister? Oh, that changes my perspective on everything.
It's weird to think about how Bill Hader Vader's career has evolved from Hot Rod.
Oh yeah.
For real.
That's an interesting transition.
Yeah.
I approve of it.
I didn't even know who Bill Hader was until Hot Rod.
God.
Yeah, that was probably around. I mean, I think he was just
on SNL.
Yeah, he was on SNL.
But he did. He was in Superbad as well.
Yeah, he was in Superbad.
He is in Superbad.
He's coming out with a new show. It's on HBO, maybe, or maybe Showtime.
Oh, I have seen.
He's playing like a serial killer.
Yeah, it's like Dexter.
I was gonna say like
It's
Dexter.
like a dark comedy Dexter. I think it's supposed to kind of be like. So
I have
yeah,
heard nothing about this.
Yeah.
You want me to look it up? I'll look it up.
Yeah, you look it up.
Okay.
it looks like it's gonna be really good. Have you guys seen the documentary Nows?
Oh my god, I love those on Netflix.
Yeah, have you not seen it, Veronica?
I don't think so.
Look up documentary now on Netflix. Like it's
It's
him
on
and Fred
AFC.
Armisen.
It's on IFC. It's the
And
same.
they
Documentary
parody
Now,
all
and
these different kind of documentaries. Like,
I remember that. I watched that.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like ridiculous. It's the one like the Grey Gardens one they gotta do.
It was like soap opera or something.
Yeah, they're both like mother and daughter or something. Yeah, it's
Oh my
hilarious.
god, that was so weird.
And then there's a last one called Blue Jean Committee. And it's like they're just like this. They're this band from Chicago who like then just pretended they were a California band, and like everybody liked them or whatever. But it's like a two-parter. It's really good. You should-
telling.
yeah.
So Barry
Yeah.
is the new series by Bill Hader. It does not come out until the 25th of March.
Okay.
Debuts on HBO. It is a show about a disillusioned former Marine turned assassin who reluctantly accepts a job in Los Angeles where he inadvertently discovers an interest in the performing arts.
Oh, okay.
So that looks interesting. Do we want to watch a trailer for that, folks? Because I can pull it up right here, right now. I have it. I can, if you guys are that interested, I can show you the trailer for this.
We can watch it later. I don't care.
Okay, sure. Vote later. That's fine. Cool.
Is this mochi ready to eat? You got it out.
Yeah, it
I just
should
don't know
be.
if it's gonna get melty or not. I'm just picking
Let's
mine up.
see.
I got vanilla.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, it's like I'm just gonna wait and see what you guys think before I say anything. Never mind.
Open. Like peeling skin.
It's a little fleshy. What do you
Ice
think?
cream on the inside is good.
Yes, right?
The ice cream is really good.
It's
Sometimes I think the outside, like rice.
But they are ice cream.
You're eating an ice cream man. That's what you're eating.
What it tastes like.
An ice cream man. It's very fleshy. Ew, this
Even
is
the
horrifying.
consistency of the, like the skin.
like pig skin.
The epidermis. What is this? It's pig skin.
This is like
It's rice.
It's rice.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
It's literally rolled rice.
It's just this.
So like the consistency of it, like when you pull and it like snaps back. Like I was like, it's
The
skin.
elasticity of skin.
it's
Yeah.
skin.
It's and when you're touching it, it's like got powder on it, so it feels like fucking fleshy. Oh my god, what is this life? This ice cream is good, but I don't like all of the flesh.
I can only hope the zombies treat us with the same respect.
Yeah, reverence.
I think it's delicious.
Yeah, it's good.
We all got different flavors.
What flavor just did everybody get? I got vanilla.
I went with the Kanoa coffee.
Oh, Kona coffee.
Kona coffee, my bad.
Kona coffee.
I have the strawberry.
I like that one.
I got the chocolate. I got the black guy.
That was the double dark chocolate.
The double dark chocolate.
Yeah, I picked it out just for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's good. I like that.
Sarah had gotten one. She got the green tea matcha one. Because they have all different flavors. I think my favorite one is the vanilla, and the mango one is really good too. But we don't get them often because they taste kind of like flesh. I don't know. Would you guys get them again?
I would. I mean,
It's different.
yeah.
Something fun and different.
The skin is also marshmallow texture.
Okay.
Like the texture of marshmallow. I was trying to think about like what else has that kind of.
That's a much nicer way of saying it than flesh.
I guess so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm just curious because I've never actually eaten flesh, so I'm just like
Well, me neither, but I mean, you can
assume.
animal
It's
flesh.
really, it was a little tougher than marshmallow.
a little
right?
gamey.
Yeah.
Okay, fair
The
enough.
most dangerous game.
Yeah, it's just really, I don't know.
Damn. Well, shockingly enough, I have more dessert for us to try.
Holy shit, what do you
God.
have?
Reptar bars.
Oh yeah, we already tried these
What are Reptar bars?
Have you ever seen Rugrats?
on Nickelodeon.
So
Yes.
We were at FYE
Vaguely.
the other day, and we're having this big retro thing where
What's in the middle of them?
stuff that makes your tongue green.
yep.
It's like, it almost tastes kind of like frosting instead of milk chocolate. The white chocolate one is horrible. I don't recommend it.
Why would you say that? You got to let them have their own opinion.
Well, thank you, your own judge.
You can't say it's horrible because now they're going to be like, what if this is
Well, it's
sucky?
white chocolate, and I don't like it.
Okay, what is the stuff in the middle?
It's like frosting.
It's like frosting.
What does it say on the
What is
thing?
it? It's like frosting.
The man wants to know what he's eating.
It is green frosting.
Oh, just green
Filled with
frosting.
milk chocolate.
It has like the hue of it.
I'm gonna
the kind of
unpeel my
green it
mochi
is.
from
It's like
its skin
Slimer
shell.
from
It does
Ghostbusters,
it does
doesn't
look
it?
kind of like Slimer. You're supposed to tear open, chomp, and then roar like Reptar after you eat
No,
it.
I'm not gonna do that.
Well, of course, because you probably know.
Better. Woohoo! I took my mochi skin off my ice cream.
That shitty quality milk chocolate. I mean, it's just very like,
Basic.
yeah.
We're gonna fuck the sodomites in the...
Boxer, ain't had that one in a while. It's a fucking Keystone.
Keystone, definitely.
Oh
Natty
my
Ice.
God! When's the last dude? You
Some
know what?
fucking old
We were
Milwaukee.
just talking about Boxer the other day and about like how poor you were when you bought Boxer beer. I remember being 20 years old and buying a 36 pack of Boxer beer for $6.99, and then buying a fucking fifth of, I believe it was Legacy or Grand Prix for like $4.99, and like you came to the party and everyone's like, yeah, he's here. Oh, we're going to have so much fun. But now that I'm older, like the guy that brings the Grand Legacy and like brings the Boxer beer, it's like, get that guy out of here. He's broken. He's going to steal your shit.
I like to get sopping wet, break into my neighbor's house and steal all their shit. Fuck you, Iraq.
I need to send you that video. We're not going to watch it again on the show.
Might as well 4 weeks in a row.
That would have been great for the pre-show, but
Right.
Chaw.
Fuck you, Iraq.
It's this guy, and
Henry Bankshaft.
three weeks in a row we've watched this this fucking video on the show, and but every week we add another, like the next video in line as well, and we have to watch the whole series because we have a different guest every week. So it's just to catch them up to where we're at. We have to watch the whole thing. But yeah, it's this guy, and he's just giving random facts about himself.
Did you know the average person eats 8 spiders in their lifetime?
It's astounding.
It's astounding. I like to take a handful of baby
Jennifer
carrots.
says do it.
I like to take a handful of baby carrots, cram them in the black of my butthole.
Get the fuck out of my life, cow.
Get the fuck out of my life, cow.
Get the fuck out of my life.
Ooh, lemons. Too bad I like limes.
Get the fuck out of here. Fucking throws the lemon.
I'm a pretty good bowler. I've got a 120 average. I fucking love Chaw.
Goddamn Chaw.
Jennifer's great. I like Jennifer at work. She's her and my wife used to be really good friends. She's funny.
I like Jennifer.
You guys have you guys worked with her yet?
I've worked with her like one time.
She's funny.
I've only heard her speak like 3 times.
She is so hard to get to talk, but when you get her to talking and like she's
So the other day I'm on 11. This was right before you came back, and I'm just bebopping along, and I was in a pretty bad mood. I was really, really tired, and I turned around to walk back to the next car, and I look, Jennifer's just standing there. Joe's on the other side of the car, just running off at the mouth, and I just looked at her, and she's just, yep. And this goes on, and this was like first or second quarter, so one of the longer quarters, and it just goes on and on and on, and eventually I forgot about it. Later on, like maybe 30 minutes before break, I turn around and look again, and she's participating in the conversation. Joe broke her. She stood strong for like an hour and 45 minutes. And that last half hour to 45 minutes, he broke her. And she participated, and I felt so bad because there was nothing I could do.
Dude, I love Joe. I worked with him today. I love that guy. I know that we've all got our certain quirks, but Joe's just trying to be happy, man.
Joe is a quirk.
Joe just wants to be happy. It's just he's had a definite hard time.
But, like most of the problems we all have in life, we are the ones to blame for them. You're 35 years old. You gotta figure your shit out.
That's not true.
That is 100% true.
It's not heroin at one time.
Yeah, people decide to jam the needle in their arm or their leg.
Wasn't my choice.
What, did you get fucking attacked by a ninja with heroin?
I got attacked by my brother-in-law.
He got attacked by a heroin ninja.
You gotta watch out for those heroin ninjas.
It was terrible. It started a whole fucking downward spiral.
Yeah, you can say no. You have a choice.
I didn't have a choice.
You did have a choice.
I would have been raped.
That's fine.
I've never been raped. I don't want to be a victim.
Would you rather
You're claiming to be a victim right now.
Would you rather be a victim or a heroin addict?
Right now?
Just in general.
Can we just stop talking about heroin?
Yeah,
I'd rather be an addict.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, just kidding. I'm just saying.
Jennifer says, I know who your next guest should be next show. Go ahead and leave in the comments who you think our next guest
right now. Who should your next guest
be?
be?
Is it you, Jennifer?
Oh,
is
shit.
It you?
It's probably Jennifer's drug dealer.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, we all have a drug dealer.
Baxter's my drug dealer.
I call mine the pharmacy.
Big Pharma. Yee. Anyway.
I support Big Pharma.
Calvin and Joe. That's not going to happen.
That's not
going to happen.
Not even funny.
I would have Calvin on.
No.
I would have Calvin on for sure.
I would love to have Calvin on.
I would have Calvin on.
If we could
Joe is eventually going to be on my proxy.
Comment on Calvin.
If we could set it up to where, like, because obviously Calvin lives in Kokomo, so if we could set it up where maybe we got out really early, where it wasn't an inconvenience to any of us, that would be great. Because Calvin says some really funny shit.
Yes.
I understand what you're saying, but give us some time. Not a bad dude. There's a lot worse dudes out there.
Calvin's going to have to fucking apologize to me before I fucking forgive, so.
Anyway, we're going to quickly move on.
I don't know what's going on there.
We're going to quickly move on from this subject. But
yeah, Calvin and Joe, that's not going to happen.
Tyler, are you religious?
Ooh.
That's a tough question for me because I was raised in a home that was pretty much anti-religion, but half of the time of my childhood I was in a home that was like devout Catholic, so I was kind of raised Catholic but not raised Catholic. I did all the Catholic shit, but I didn't do it all the time. And then once I became an adult, it's like, fuck Christianity because it's just a business. All major religions are a business. I have a different issue.
See, I was molested Catholic, and I was raised Christian.
Ah, that's right.
Okay,
yeah. There's a couple things in my life that have happened that really fucking burnt me out on Christianity. One of them was not being molested. I really enjoyed that. But that was a joke. You guys were supposed to laugh, and you didn't, and now I feel stupid. Thanks, guys!
Yeah, because now that you're drinking, the truth comes out. So
I'm just listening to your story and letting you have the floor.
If you honestly want to know what I believe, I'm an Irish-German Swede, so I got the girth of the Swede and the German, but the height of an Irishman with the attitude. So
when you say girth, are you talking about your penis?
No, I'm talking about my waist.
Okay,
'cause I'm a fat piece of shit.
I was like,
but I honestly believe in all the Norse mythology shit. I believe there's multiple gods for multiple things, and that if I die a good death, I'll go to fucking Valhalla. That's what I believe. Because if I had to choose between playing shuffleboard in heaven with Marvin Gaye and fucking David Bowie...
David Bowie's last great hit, you know what it was?
No, I don't give a shit.
Probably heroin.
Thank you. But, good God. But if I had to choose between that and meeting my ancestors and fighting battles every day and doing cool shit and then dying and waking up and doing it all over again every day, I'll fucking choose that. Because I don't buy into any of the major religions. It's all fucking business. That's all it is.
I agree with you 100%. You know what? Someone asked me, someone really opened my eyes the other day, and I didn't realize this because I was raised Catholic for the first, 9 years of my life. Granted, I went to a Christian school from 5 to 6 for kindergarten and then moved on. My grandparents made sure that I was raised Catholic, 100%.
Okay.
And then when I got to be 13 or 14, my parents were like, listen, obviously you don't need to go to public schools. You're in too much trouble. Put me in a Christian school. So I was raised 14, 15, 16 years old, like in a hardcore, you went to Bible class, you went to church during the week, Christian, okay? And I think a lot of Christianity is based on fear. It's fear. Fear of the fact that if you don't follow God's ways, if you don't live to God's, absolute, God wants you to, as Sean Shama put this, if you live for your flesh, you're going to burn in hell. And I just don't feel like, I don't want to miss out on the Justice League, okay? I don't want to miss out on Infinity Wars, and I don't want to miss out on Deadpool. And if that means that I have to go to hell, then so fucking be it.
Right.
Like that's, it's a money-based.
Well, and that's the thing. Everything that you just said, but you left out the part where you also have to devote a lot of your money.
A lot of your money. 10%. 10%. In most religions, it's 10% of your gross income.
Good luck.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Game Addicts Podcast, the show where we talk about the modern and retro video games that we play and collect. I am your host, Brando, and today's episode is going to be a little different, guys. This week, we've had some pretty bad health issues kind of ravaging my family, and we basically decided to sort of kind of chill out this week. We're not taking the week off because we're still going to bring you some cool content. We're going to go back to the archives, and we're going to check out some of the earliest retrospectives that we did. Basically, what retrospectives are is we basically take an episode and we dedicate it to a single topic, whether it's a system, series, whatever. And it really all started with the PSP. I kind of wanted to do a segment that I didn't even have a name for it yet. The word retrospective wasn't even in my vocabulary yet as far as this goes. I just wanted to cover the PSP, and I wanted to share my love and some of my favorite games and talk about the history of it a little bit. And that episode was like episode 13. It was called Game Addicts Portable. And I hadn't even changed. As I said, I haven't even like officially named it retrospective. So the next episode, the official first retrospective episode is actually the PlayStation, but the official one that was never named that was the Game Addicts Portable of the PSP. So the first clip, guys, that you're going to hear is a clip of us just gushing on the PSP and talking about like the Vita and then how that associates and how Sony's proprietary memory cards and all that kind of stuff like that. So here's that clip, guys. Enjoy. I wanted to do an episode focused on the PSP,
right?
The predecessor to the Vita, because the PSP did amazing numbers. I just looked it up like right before we started. PSP sold, was it 82 million systems?
Yeah, but there was a reason why.
Well, yes, I mean, okay, sure, you can hack it.
Yep.
But I mean, was it just that? Because not everybody did that.
Not everybody did that, but a majority of people did. Those systems that you're seeing those high numbers on are people that, like me, I'm not gonna mod this one for the simple fact that it's a limited edition one. And if it was just a black one, I would have already modded it.
Well, see, now they have a way where you can just install the hack onto a memory card.
Right.
And it's like every time you boot it up, you got to launch that. It kind of restarts the system.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I did that. Well, see, the thing is that I don't really, for me, I don't really see a need for it because most of the stuff that that I'm going to play on the go, I have it on the go. And it's like, okay, do I want the entire NES library on the go? No, I don't need it.
You don't need it, but think of that at the time. You know, the time was the PS2.
Yeah.
And, you know, the PS2 was great. It was throwing out games left and right that were fantastic. I mean, we could just throw out random names, and they were just great games. And in that era, the PSP came out, and its UMDs were just completely... I think they're the best CD form of anything ever, because they're covered.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing, is like, you get these DVDs and the Blu-rays, and you lay them down, and they're scratched. Well, I could pull this out right here, and it don't hurt it, because it's got the case on it. I like it, and I think that it could have been utilized a little bit better, like larger games on it.
The downfall of it is the load times.
Yes.
Or are the load times. I mean, the load times are pretty bad for some games. In fact, some games, they'll say, hey, you might want to install some of this data to make loading times a bit smaller. So now, there were multiple variations on the PSP that came out. I didn't own the first one.
And the second one.
Yeah, see, I didn't own the first one at all. I saw it, and I got a chance to hold one. The PSP 1000s, they were the really kind of the thicker black model. They came out, and I didn't get one until 2007, when I don't know if 2000 had just come out or if they had been out for a little bit. I got the bundle that had Jack
Daxter.
Or I'm sorry, just Daxter.
Daxter. Okay.
And then mine had the Family Guy UMD.
See, when I got
freaking
mine,
sweet collection.
I got mine. It was National Treasury and
National Treasure,
and I think it was Jack Dax. I think I got.
Was it Daxter?
Daxter.
Well, this is my original one right here.
Right.
I still have it, and I bought this for one game.
I know what game that was.
That's not the first time I've done that. It's not the first system I bought for one game. I bought an original Xbox to play KOTOR. I bought a GameCube to play the Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, a remake. And I bought this to play Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII. So, I bought this in November, and Crisis Core is supposed to come out in March. So, the games that I picked up with this day one were Siphon Filter, Dark Mirror, GTA Vice City Stories, which I'd already played the port of that on the PS2.
Right.
But I'm like, hey, play it on the go. That's where it came out for. And then I got Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. And I played the crap out of it. I liked it. And of course, I got Crisis Core day one. I had it. Pre-ordered it. Got it. Played the crap out of that. And then I sort of slacked off a little bit on it after that. I did play some of the PS1 classics that I got for... like I got FF7.
Chains of Olympus is what I got with it.
Did you? Was it Chains of Olympus?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play those right away. However, I was deciding to do another playthrough of Crisis Core. And this is probably 2009. Right. Summer 2009. I was playing either Crisis Core or because I think I had just got the FF7 PS1 Classic.
Right.
And I can't remember if I was playing. I was going to work towards playing through Crisis Core and then playing that, and then was sitting on the crapper, as you do.
Yeah.
Okay, and then all of a sudden I can't remember what happened, what I did, if I grunted a little too hard, or it just went, and oh crap, pick it up. Nothing. It never worked again.
But
anyway, so this was now a paperweight. It didn't work. I couldn't get it to work. Everything I tried, I took this thing apart, trying to figure out what was wrong with it. And then that year, I got married to my awesome wife, and we bought each other wedding gifts. And she got a DSi,
right?
And I got a PSP Go. Huh. Now, the PSP Go. I bought that because I'm like, digital gaming. Then this is before I was a collector. Oh, that's awesome. I don't have to haul anything around. And then I'm like, and I'm sure they're going to come out with all the other games that are out for it.
Except for the one you want.
Except for the two. There were two games that never came out digitally on the PlayStation Store because Square are douchebags.
Well,
it was Square. It's all Square. It is Square because they put Dissidia 1 and 2 digitally.
Okay.
Okay, Dissidia, they got released. Third Birthday got released. Crisis Core and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, nope. No plans. Why? That was their answer. Shrug. Yeah. So, I got a few games when I got the Go. I got Chinatown Wars, GTA. I got Chains of Olympus. I got a few more PS1 classics. And then I got Dissidia. And then I'm pretty sure those were the only games I got, like actual PSP games that I got. No, Peace Walker. I bought Peace Walker.
Peace Walker. Yep.
Yeah.
I still got to get that since I have the Peace Walker limited edition.
So anyway, I had the Go, and then I decided to get rid of the Go.
Yeah.
And I sold it to you.
Traded it to me.
Oh, I did trade it to you.
Yep.
It was like the entire Gundam Wing set, and then $40, $30.
Something like that, yeah.
And then you let somebody borrow it.
Never got it back.
Now, I wonder why that was.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the day before I really got on his ass, he asked you how much you could get for it.
It was something like that. Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. He gave me the money, gave me enough money to get the green limited edition one.
That's a 3,000?
That's 3,000. Let's make sure. I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't think
It
so.
should be a 3,000 because it's one of the last ones made. Yep, 3,001. Yep, 3,000.
It says it on there?
Right there.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah, I'll be damned, it does. So, I decided to get back into PSP because I still had Crisis Core. I still had some of the games I had for it. And then I found a copy of Twisted Metal Head-On at my local Goodwill for like $3. And I said I need to go get a PSP. And that's when I got this one, which is a 3000. It is a black. And I took the battery out of this one, put it in here, and it fired right up. So, I didn't break my system. I broke the battery. So,
which is easily replaced.
It can be. I still haven't done it. I just swapped the battery, but like
they now have battery extenders on those, so they increase the battery. So.
Yep, but yeah. So I've played the crap out of this. Got a game in there.
What game is it?
SmackDown.
SmackDown
2006 GM mode.
Yeah.
If we get that on the go, I absolutely loved. Me and Rob played the hell out of GM mode, but the PSP, man, since it sold so much, so many systems, like it has such a great library. And when you look, I mean, okay, so the Vita, it has a good library, but nothing like the PSP. PSP has so many freaking games.
Vita's getting there.
No, Vita's not even close.
I would say that
Vita has a lot more of those like indie games.
It does.
That came to that. Well, like when you're talking about really good solid games and ports and remakes and versions that were on PS2, versions that were even on like a PS3, and you had racing games, you had shooters. Well, okay, maybe not the quality of first-person shooter, but they had different kinds of shooters. You had, did I say racing?
Yeah.
I already said racing. You had great RPGs, so many RPGs.
Yeah, they had the Gran Turismo PSP version, which I haven't played yet, and I've played and almost beat every one of them. I gotta get that.
I wanted to get that as well. And there was another version after 3000 that came out. It was a cheap version, and I think it's called like the E or something like that. PSP E or PSP like 3000E or something like that. I don't even know. I'm not even gonna waste time looking it up.
I was saying
it is a really cheap model that got released for like $100.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
And I don't think I even saw it. When I moved down here in 2011, I want to say it was like 2012, 2013. Down just south of us is Lebanon, and in their Walmart was a brand new in-box PSP. They were selling it for $120.
Huh.
Brand new. And it sat there for so long, and I'm just like, I wish they would clearance that out.
Right?
I'm like, I would buy that and just keep it in the box for good old times, or for when one of these decides it's not going to work anymore.
Was it? You don't know if it's the E model or the 3000?
It was a 3000. It was a silver 3000. Journey into Comics Network Patreon presents.
It's an energy field created by all living things.
The Podcast Menace. A podcast 100% dedicated to Star Wars.
Its energy surrounds us.
With your hosts, Brandon Stone and Tyler McLaughlin.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Welcome, everyone, to the debut episode of the Podcast Menace. This is the only podcast on the Journey into Comics Network 100% completely dedicated to the fandom and love of Star Wars. Thank you for joining us today on this, the day of our free premiere here on the network. And of course, I am one of your hosts, Brando, and the other lovable, gracious host of this show, my good buddy Tyler.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to the show, everybody. This show has been in the making for almost a month or two now.
Well, total time is like 3 months.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer than that.
It's been kind of stewing in my head ever since sort of like we got done doing the Star Wars episode on the Journey to Comics show when we reviewed Last Jedi. And it seemed like across the network, not just us, but almost every show in some respect following The Last Jedi talked about The Last Jedi. And during The Last Jedi is when I'm like, man, I want to talk more Star Wars stuff more often. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, you know what? Tyler really knows his shit. He's like, I could talk Star Wars with a lot of folks, but it's like, you're the one dude that I've met so far that can really 100% challenge my knowledge as far as like, holy crap, dude, I don't even know if I know that 100%.
I feel like that when we did the Last Jedi kind of review right after the movie, it was really late at night, and we had all had a long day at that point anyway. I feel like if we had a little bit more kind of resolve or just energy more than anything, we would have still been talking Star Wars at like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning.
There was so much to digest with that movie. Seeing that movie again helped me further like my own opinion of that movie, because that movie is so divisive among fans.
Right. And then, while we were dissecting The Last Jedi, we started talking about themes and parallels and all the other stuff in the total Star Wars universe as a whole, and how that tied in and influenced The Last Jedi. And then, like all of us always do, we ramble a little bit, we get on tangents, and it's like all of this shit is relative. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I can talk Star Wars all day, every day. It has been, I have a lot of hobbies. I have a lot of things that that I consider myself a major fan of. Things like Mass Effect, of course, the Tolkien stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm way behind on Game of Thrones, so I can't really say that for sure. Definitely a fan. But Star Wars always eclipses everything. And Star Wars in itself was influenced by so many big things in previous times. You listen to George Lucas and he's like, well, Flash Gordon. I saw Flash Gordon, read Flash Gordon when I was a kid, and it's like, that was one of the biggest things that influenced him and made him create all this stuff anyway. And Star Wars, not just on the storytelling or science fiction level, it influenced cinematography and special effects. And Star Wars is a part of, I don't want to just say American culture, because it's influenced worldwide, but it's a part of everything. Any major movie in the last 20 years has had to look at what Star Wars did in 1977 and say, this was big. And with CGI and a lot of the stuff now, we've moved on from practical special effects, but
ILM, I mean,
absolutely,
Star Wars gave us ILM,
absolutely,
and ILM is responsible for so many other movies, like throughout the Spielberg movies. Mm-hmm. You can just look at almost any movie that has big special effects. Not every single one of them, but even if they're not like associated with Lucas or Spielberg or any of these other companies, you'll see that ILM may have done work on it.
Absolutely,
they've definitely became a big effects house. But Star Wars is entrenched in film history and in worldwide history as far as like culture and pop culture. It was something that nobody expected this thing to have become what it became.
Well, especially, Star Wars kind of set the precedent for taking, I don't want to say no-name actors, but either unknown or actors with a very small following and blowing them up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, every couple of years we'll have, whenever I think about this, I think about Sam Worthington. He came in with Avatar, Clash of the Titans, Wrath of the Titans. He had very few films in a very short amount of time, and it took him straight to the top, with Avatar especially. So that as far as the actor side of the filmmaking industry, it gave all of us people who are like, hey, man, I think I could do that. You look at Harrison Ford, he had American Graffiti, and that's maybe it.
Yeah,
and he was a carpenter.
Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. He
That's
was
right.
just doing table reads or test ratings for other actors. He was just a placeholder.
Yep.
And then you think about the other actors who tested for Han. Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell's an amazing actor.
Absolutely. Well, especially in the time period. In the 70s and the 80s.
And that was right before he blew up.
That's right.
He was another kind of young and up-and-comer at the time. Walken, of all people, it would have been crazy to hear it, but like even back then. But, Star Wars did blow up, and it did become something bigger, and we kind of hope the same thing for this podcast. We
Absolutely.
definitely wanted to start this thing going up, and what you guys are hearing today is the first official episode. It is free on the network across podcast services all across the galaxy, and the rest of these episodes are going to be on the Journey into Comics Patreon, and they're going to be a part of the exclusive content deal for $3. And the reason for that is that we're trying to really kind of grow ourselves and really help support the network, and we thought what better way than to help give you guys, like, sell you guys on it, than to give you guys even more stuff. Not only for $1 you get early access, but for $3 you get this show exclusive every single month, and there's more shows coming down the line, and you get early access to every single show.
That's right.
As soon as it's done, it's there. So your podcast feed is going to be chock full of like so much stuff. All every single day there's something uploaded.
Quality stuff.
Exactly.
Not just stuff.
Yeah.
We all put a lot of time and effort. We all have busy lives. We're all working adults. We have families. We put a lot of time into effort into doing our best at these at doing these podcasts. So $3 a month would definitely help us out.
Oh, dude, $3 a month. I mean, what's that? Like a cheeseburger and fries,
Right.
So definitely consider that, and we hope you do kind of come along and join on our Star Wars journey with us over on the Patreon. But for now, sit tight, and we're gonna break down some of the stuff that's been going on lately in Star Wars. Of course, we are like right in the smack dab in the middle, in between The Last Jedi and Solo, and it's a really neat place to be because we still don't know really what Solo holds for us. It is something that has made a lot of fans nervous due to all the rumors and conjectures and all of the problems and the director shifts and tone shifts, whatever. And then we're coming off of Last Jedi, which, as I said before, was a very divisive movie across the fan base, which, honestly, that I like that. Because when everybody loves something, that's cool, but then when something is divisive, that's when you know it's good.
Well, when you and I sit down and we talk about Last Jedi, though we hold a lot of the same opinions, you and I can each break down the same scene, and we take entirely different things away from it.
Sure.
People have been rabbling in the streets, and shortly after the movie premiered, people were sending Rian Johnson death threats, and obviously Star Wars fans are some of the most powerful and numerous fans of anything. I don't think that a bad Star Wars movie or a bad if my opinion of a Star Wars movie is bad, I don't think that justifies sending somebody death threats. But that just goes to show how strong our fan base is, and we expect greatness.
It's funny because we are such a fickle group. We came off of the original trilogy and then had the original trilogy sort of force-fed down our throats with changes.
Right.
and changes that were happening all the way until he sold the rights. Literally, the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray copies were my most irksome out of all of them. That's my own thing. I don't need blinking Ewoks. I don't need additional Vader lines when the scene doesn't call for him to say anything.
Right. Really, the only thing that I didn't nitpick was Jabba's inclusion in A New Hope when they're in Mos Eisley. That was really the only one of those that I didn't nitpick. I don't need Vader yelling unnecessary. I don't need, like you said, blinking Ewoks. That was weird as shit.
It's time for Brews with Dudes. Ah, juicy.
Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of Brews with Dudes. I'm Nick Maxon, your host. I'm here with Brett once again.
Hello.
We are actually up in Chicago. Where exactly are we at?
We're in Lombard, Illinois.
Lombard, Illinois.
So about 20 to 25 minutes west of Chicago.
Okay, and that's Paul. That's our new friend Paul. We just ran into at Noon Whistle Brewery. You are the head brewer here?
Correct. Yeah, head brewer, one of the owners.
Wow,
nice.
So how long have you been here brewing in this location? How long have you been brewing in general?
Well, myself, I started home brewing probably about 11 years prior to opening up this place. Noon Whistle's been open for 3 years.
Awesome.
So I've probably been brewing for about 14 years. I went to Siebel Institute, which is one of the oldest brewing schools in the U.S.
Yeah.
I went there and did my studies about a year prior to opening up this place.
Cool.
So,
that's awesome. I have heard of Siebel. I'm one of those nerds that reads the comic, not the comics, but the magazines.
Yeah, nice.
So I've definitely heard of Siebel. That's really cool. Awesome.
Nice.
Well, Brett and I grabbed ourselves a couple flights. It looks like Paul's got something even different than what we got. So, and it looks like we also got a cheese truck pulling up on us.
We do. We have food trucks normally on Friday nights. So we have Toasty Cheese who's pulling up currently. So they will pull up and then they will. It should quiet down, so we should be okay.
We'll make it through.
Yeah,
We'll make it through.
yeah.
So, let's see. You just released recently the Vortex is the gummy, right?
Sure, yeah. So we have our gummy series, which is a series of our Northeast IPAs. So these are our hazy styles that are heavily dry hopped. So this is the current and the revolving series. And the next will be Gummy Apocalypse, which will be out for 3 months.
Gummy Apocalypse.
And we take breaks on all the different ones. So
cool.
Very nice. Yeah, we've definitely got quite a bit of variety here when it comes to what each of us decided. I'm definitely ready to try this Swanky. That one kind of caught me off guard. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah, Swanky Smack is our red sour. So we currently do a lot of kettle sours, and that is a kettle sour beer. But it's our play on a red sour. And then we also do some wild sours as well, which we are getting more and more involved with. And we'll be continually doing more barrel aging wild sours with Brett. But currently, this is everything that we can for our sours are kettle sours. So this is ending. So this is the end of the season for it. And then we will be going into a dry hop sour, which is brewed, and that is called Smack That. So this is our Smack series, and so anything that has smack is going to be one of our sours.
It's really good. I definitely like
smack
that.
your lips when you're drinking.
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
That's really good.
That's awesome.
I like that. The one that the guy that we met at 450 North Brewing Company is where we were at in Columbus, Indiana. He told us about the gummy with ghost peppers, the ghost pepper stout gummy.
Yeah, so that one is gone. That's Ghostface gummy.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So that was with mango. So we put a bunch of mangoes in there, as well as dry hopped, and then we used a little bit of everything as far as peppers go. So we used some chocolate habaneros, some ghost peppers. And then we used a couple other ones. I worked with a guy down in Florida that actually helped me out and pick different peppers for it. And then we were able to add those. So I might be able to get you guys. It's on the end. I have a few in the back, but I can get you guys some that you guys can try.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's got more of the pepper flavor than it actually does the spice.
Cool. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely I like the flavor behind it, but sometimes some get too spicy when it comes to the pepper beers, so it's definitely hard to do, so I definitely want to try that one.
We had the one. Have you heard of Zwanzig's?
The what? I'm sorry.
It's called Zwanzig's. It's a brewery down in Columbus, Indiana. We had a ghost pepper beer from them last weekend, and it was pretty good.
It was pretty good. We like that one a lot.
I brewed one last year. One of my buddies grew the ghost peppers, and then we added some cinnamon to it, and that one mostly just whooped your ass with spiciness. we did something. It was still a good beer, but we did something wrong with it. So.
Well, you add cinnamon, so those both have a very thin line, I think. Those and that combination, right? So, in my eyes, peppers have a very thin line of this, the spice. It's like, how do you add it or if it sits on there too long. And same thing with cinnamon, right?
Yeah.
Cinnamon we just released this chata, which is our play on an horchata. We just released that on Wednesday, so that is a Belgian wit with vanilla and cinnamon in it. So once again, there's a very thin line with cinnamon. Along with peppers, the cinnamon is we used actually like a brown cinnamon because there's different cinnamons as well.